Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Conversations with Calvin, We the Species. It's Friday, August 13th. By the way, it's Friday the 13th, Tina.
Scary.
And this part of the is what I call my 1 minute sizzle reel, because I just want to tell everybody what this interview is about. I've been looking forward to this for weeks now when I met Tinah with an H, a recent Rutgers grad. And she's the creator and the host. We're going to talk about this in your 20s, Tinah with an H. And she is such a representative of Gen Z, of which I have this great affinity. So we're going to talk about Tinah's journey, her broadcasting, her work, her being a Summa Laude from Rutgers University. I mean, there's a whole thing to Tinah. And it's not as if you lived 40 or 50 years, you're Gen Z.
I'm Gen Z.
So I am so excited about this, Tinah. And that is officially the end of this sizzle reel, which I hope it winds up somewhere out there in cyberspace. And I can't thank you enough for your being so gracious in giving your time to spend some time here. So Tinah, take it away. Introduce yourself, Tinah with an H. And a little bio, and then we'll kind of jump into stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored to be on this. So hi everyone, I'm Tinah with an H. I just go by that because my name's Tinah Ogalo, and if you're wondering where the H is, it's at the end, but people tend to leave it out. So that's why I was like, if people are going to keep leaving it out, I'm going to call myself Tinah with an H, and they'll figure it out eventually. So a little bit about me is I went to Rutgers. I graduated class of 2020, and I was a journalism and media studies graduate. And when it comes to journalism, I think a lot of times people kind of forget that it's such a broad range. It's not just your 6 o'clock news. And thanks to the influences that my parents brought with me, because both of my parents are from Kenya, and as they raised me, I started to understand and realize that I was very much into entertainment and that I love entertainment so much. Pop culture, that's my thing. I want to be the next female Ryan Seacrest one day. But until we get to that point, I am the host of the In Your 20s podcast, 20s with a YS, not an IES, because I like to say IES was taken, and going back to the whole Tinah with an H thing, there's an H at the end of my name. Why would I have to spell 20s correctly? And when I'm not hosting my podcast, I'm currently a social media coordinator working under Viacom CBS.
Perfect. I said it before. Your background is like somebody 40 or 50 years old. What you've accomplished in such a short period of time. So, doing in the research I did, and I'm always fascinated by this. We discussed this right before we went on the air, the world of TikTok,
Yes.
of which you were a TikTok Rutgers campus rep, and how did that come about, and how you use that to become brand ambassador for companies like TikTok, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this would be very educational for others to know this journey of yours. Take it away.
Oh yeah, for sure. So when it came to TikTok, that was, I want to say, probably my third or fourth brand ambassador gig that I had. But with TikTok, it was the most interesting in terms of like how I got it. So we have to go back to the summer of 2019. And I think I had maybe 2 weeks left of my internship. I was interning abroad in London, which don't even get me started because I love that city so much. But I was interning as a production development coordinator for a small boutique company. And they were like, Tinah, have you heard of TikTok? So I'm like, oh, that's like that app where people sing, do whatever. And I'd start to go on it a little bit, didn't pay too much attention to it until I came back to the US. And it was, I want to say, towards the end of August, that I was like, this app is the best thing to happen to me. Going back to my love for entertainment, I would be 6, 7, however old, watching MTV when, music, as people say, music was still on MTV. And I'd be like figuring out the choreography to like Single Ladies by Beyonce, just what random Britney Spears music videos. And people were just doing dances on TikTok to these songs and popular ones. As someone who loves to dance, I said to myself, why would I not be on this app? So I posted my first video, I think at near the end of September 2019. And from there, I was hooked. I was obsessed with it, to the point that my friend, who I had known from a different brand ambassador program we did, she went to USC and she was a TikTok rep in the fall of 2019. I'm thinking to myself, how did she get this gig? I need it too. So fall semester ends. It's January of 2020. We're still in like winter break. And she sends me a text saying, hey, TikTok is looking for campus reps. Here's the link. You should try to apply. Go on the website. Rutgers is not on there. Now, I am very much a person who's like, if I am enjoying something, why should I not try to make money off of it? So since Rutgers was not on that list, I sent my friend a text back and said, hey, would you happen to have the name of the hiring manager or whoever hired you, or like even their LinkedIn, and just give me anything. She gave me the LinkedIn. From there, I was able to find this person's email, shot them an email saying, hey, I know Rutgers wasn't on your initial list, but I'd love to be a part of, the TikTok community, like being a brand ambassador. And it took a couple emails back and forth. They were like, if you can garner enough attention to TikTok and get enough applications in, then we'll bring TikTok to Rutgers. Wow. And what did I say? I said, bet. Within, I want to say, it was a pretty quick turnaround of a month, because sometimes those applications can take like 3 months. But within a month, we brought TikTok to Rutgers, and I was a part of the first cohort or class of TikTok reps for Rutgers.
Wow. You and I, before we went on air, I discussed TikTok because I might as well just, it's a little off topic, but you were the first person I discussed this notion with. I can say it on air, and it has to do parenthetically with TikTok. I'm involved with a bunch of very serious global environmentalists. I've been interviewing them from Ecuador to London, to Scotland, on Tuesday to Paris, and these are and eventually Dubai. So these are amazing environmentalists, and we're going to kind of put together a panel to discuss the recent UN climate report that came out the other day that said, red code for humanity. We've got a lot of work to do, and I'm knowing, and I'm thinking, I'm doing these great interviews, but TikTok gets a couple of people dancing, and they get 1 million views. I don't, and
I don't either. Don't worry.
Okay, I feel better. But you, I might as well say this. You were so great in being open-minded to kind of sit in when we put this panel together to discuss how basically it's your world.
Yeah,
it's your world, and your access to TikTok. Maybe you can light fires, but we'll talk about that. But anyway, I'm just thanking you on air here for being the first that I've asked, and you've agreed, and I think that's great because it is your world. So let's segue to this. In your 20s,
my child, my only child.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. I mean, how, when, where, the research, and I know you've done over 60 podcasts. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
You take it and tell the whole story of in your 20s.
Yeah, so I'm a firm believer that if you have an idea and it doesn't leave your head for about a month, then you should take that chance and go for it. So it was again, fall of 2019. This also occurred during my senior year of college. And I was interning at this company, which was a really big company. And I was so excited to work there, but the role that I was doing was not something that I was interested in. It was very much more analytics focused, creating Excel spreadsheets, and not saying that that can't be fun for some people. But for me, sitting in a cubicle for 8 hours a day, just crunching numbers and moving decks around. That's not interesting to me. So I was like, I have no one to talk to. I'm doing this for these 8 hours. Let me start listening to some podcasts, because earlier of 2019, I was interning at an audio company and I was working on podcasts there, like listening to them, editing them, writing articles, whatever. So I started to dabble a little bit into the podcast realm and I fell in love. And I realized, and I thought to myself, I talk so much. The T in Tina stands for talkative. Why would I not try and start a podcast? It makes complete sense to me. Then came the next question of, what the heck am I going to talk about? So I sat on the idea of the podcast for about a month. Then I came to the realization, this is now January of 2020, that I had no idea what my next steps were after college, which I had realized, and after talking to my peers, they all felt the same way. Because growing up, everyone knows, all right, you're going to go preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school. Like, that's usually the blueprint for most people. Then some people go off to college, they'll just start working automatically. You never know. I took the college route. So I knew what I was going. Once I said I'm going to Rutgers, I knew where I was going to be for 4 years. But here I am, 2020, at beginning of 2020, and I have no idea what's next for me. So with that in mind, I was like, I want to start a podcast to help 20 somethings navigate this defining decade, because people say all the time, your 20s are the best years of your life. I mean, they say that about every decade. Same with college. They say college is the best years of your life. But I really just wanted to help my peers and other 20 somethings figure out what to do, like how to random topics, because it's not just career, it's not just school, it's lifestyle, it's dating, like how to ask someone out on a date via DMs or in person. What the heck is a 401k? Just all of these random things in hopes that it can bring some clarity. And I've been doing it for over a year and almost a half now. I love it. It can definitely be scary sometimes to put yourself out there. When the whole Black Lives Matter resurrection with George Floyd came out, I put out an episode called I'm Tired of Being Black in America, which was the most vulnerable I've ever been on the internet, or like to people in general. But having this platform, having this platform, I know, even though it's scary for me to sometimes put out these episodes, I'm helping any person that's listening, even just one person. And that's my biggest happiness in life, helping people out. So yeah.
Wow. A few comments. First of all, what you just said was so profound. Even if you could help one person out, there's an old saying, I'm not sure where it comes from. It's been around for a couple thousand years. Uh, those that save a life, save the world. One life saved the world. It's a powerful. I wrote that actually in something last night, so it's really, really powerful. When the pandemic hit, I observed, and I had been mentoring. Uh, we got involved. You were involved with the Roads of Communication and Media at
Yeah.
Rutgers, and I met Stacy, and Stacy got me involved, and I got involved in networking and then mentoring. I had a student and another student, and then when you guys found out that there's an older guy that kind of knows how to talk, had a TV show at the time before the pandemic that I produced and co-hosted, and I was never taught to do that. You just, like you did, Tina, you just
Yeah.
pick up and do. And eventually I was mentoring 14 students a semester, and 14.
That's a lot.
It is a no, by the way, it is a lot. It was 2 officially and 12 unofficially. So I was at Henry's Diner 3 or 4 days a week.
I
Uh,
miss Henry's.
uh,
Those root beer floats.
oh, the omelets. Are you kidding? Potatoes. We'll be back there soon enough. But I observed, and this is it's what you just said. I observed that in world history, there's never been a generation that's going to need as much help and support as your generation. And I'm not even talking about financial. I'm just talking about the stuff you're doing. Uh, and I want to tell everybody, me being a half century removed from you and then some, I did spend 55 minutes and listened. I told you I listened to you and Alana for 55 minutes on dating, which I definitely don't need to do that. But you you will become that female Ryan Seacrest, because it was so engaging for me, and it held my interest, and I learned, and I took some, I also learned what YOLO means. You're laughing.
for like transparency and clarity, guys. So in that episode, I said that I hate this phrase so much, but it makes so much sense that everyone should apply it to their lives. And it's YOLO by Drake. So if you don't know that song, it's You Only Live Once.
Yeah.
And so that's how I apply and see things in my life, that I only live once, so I might as well go out there and freaking do it.
It's great. And that was great. And I actually will, not because I'm on air with you, but I'm intrigued. And you're such a spokesperson for your generation. So it really is, it was a great podcast. Again, just to remind everybody, I keep doing this in your 20s, and all the contact information will be there. By the way, everybody out there, just do yourself a favor and listen, learn. And I think a lot of people need to, people older than their, the millennials and beyond that, the boomers and all that, they should listen and understand and know, because you're part of our world. So, you're a social media coordinator, and you did it, coming right out of college. What does that entail, actually?
Yeah, so I never thought I was going to be working in social media. I was completely opposed to it, but it's really interesting because it's definitely one of my passions. I will only say the downside is that social media, like the news, never stops. So when Twitter first was a thing, or maybe not even first was a thing, but I got on Twitter in 2012. And the reason why I was on Twitter was because I had a very deep obsession and love for a boy band called One Direction. So with that in mind, I created a fan account and I was tweeting all the time. I was engaging with that. I was able to understand what their marketing agency was going to be planning, what the rollout was, why they were doing XYZ in order to get whatever results. So that's where my passion for social media started. And with the things that I was doing at college, I was just getting more and more social media opportunities under my belt. So when the pandemic hit, because I am a part of the COVID class of 2020, I signed up for a random freelance website called Upwork, because I was like, I'm not going to be able to get a job because the companies that I want to work for are laying people off and people are losing their jobs. So I might as well try freelancing. Signed up randomly, probably my last week or so in my college house, and I totally forgot about it. Then a couple weeks later, I got a LinkedIn message and someone said, hey, I work for a startup. I saw that you were a TikTok rep. Would you be interested in just having a quick 15-30-minute call with me? And you know what? For some reason, I had this feeling that I was like, you know what? Let me just see. Let me see if I want to do this. So I had the conversation. A couple weeks later, I was hired. So I was working for a company called ARFA, which is now called Cord, but it was a consumer goods startup. And it was run by a bunch of ex-Glossier execs. The team was stacked with people from everywhere that I'm not going to lie, guys, I was intimidated. I was the youngest one on the team. I was scared. But as a social media coordinator for consumer goods, I was in charge of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. Oh, and TikTok. So with that in mind, if you are going on anything besides the company's website, I was the one who was writing those captions, posting those photos, ideating that content with my manager and the creative team. I was there for 6 months. It was a great experience. I learned so much about organic social, paid social, which paid social is basically just those advertisements you see on social media that are sponsored by whatever company. And I learned so much, but then obviously with the pandemic, things happen and the company wasn't making as much money as we would have probably liked. So with that in mind, they were like, all right, we're going to switch gears and go to be a tech focused company. I have no business being in tech. Absolutely not. So I said, all right, let me just take this time to really reflect and see what I want to do. Retail was fun, but I knew that was not my passion. I didn't want to be in it for forever. I was unemployed for 5 months. And then lo and behold, my dream company, I applied so often that I think they just got sick of seeing my applications. They hired me. So I'm a social media coordinator for MTV and VH1. This has been something I've always wanted. I've been manifesting it, working towards this goal. So from on the flip side of entertainment, I am a social media coordinator, but also a social media producer. So all those clips that you're seeing on TV, how are they getting onto social media? That's me. I'm the one editing the clips like for TikTok, for Instagram, writing the captions, working with my managers, and also creating digital campaigns where we're going on set and dealing with talent just to like ideate and bring the idea of fandoms back into viewers' hands, which, as you know, the circle of life moment, it goes from here I was 2012 on fandom Twitter for One Direction, and now I'm helping to cultivate those fandoms. So there's that connection.
Little circle there,
Yeah.
circle of life. It's like the Lion King, the circle of life kind of thing.
See, I'm glad that you picked up on that reference because that's what I was trying to make.
And I'm an old guy, and I picked up on that reference. I try to stay on top of things. So fascinating, your journey, and it's such a message. It's such a message, and when I hear you and see you, I want to shake people out there, especially our world of Rutgers, because you have so much to teach and to give and to share and to motivate. And of course, what frustrates me that more don't. Well, maybe you can. A lot of messages here. Maybe you can do what you do, and I'll do what I do. So, because I find you to be quite an amazing person.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I really mean that. I'm learning, and I'm saying, oh wow, it is an oh wow, how grounded, your depth, the breadth, your experience. What a lesson.
Yeah.
And it's one of my great joys to do what I do and to meet Gen Zs, because you are the world. There was a song a bunch of years ago, "We Are the World," Michael Jackson, and
Oh, the 25th anniversary
yeah, we
for
are the world.
Haiti.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but just kind of paraphrasing that, you are the world, and you are the hope of this world, your generation, and you're right. Such a great spokesperson. Anyway, kind of change the directions a little bit. Maybe you could share some light. You did work when you were at Rutgers as a financial aid assistant. How did that come about? I mean, that's interesting.
I always like to joke with my parents that it's because I called the financial aid office so many times when I was like about to be a freshman that they're like, all right, you want to call us so much? Now you're flip the script. You're going to be answering these phone calls. So that was a work study job. And I obviously, like, once again, that's a super analytical like type of role, but it was so necessary because it helped me build the confidence to one, make phone calls, because let's be honest, like any type of customer service role, you're going to have to build thick skin because not everyone's going to be happy. um it taught me how to be just confident with multitasking, which I'm still not the best, and that is something I know that I'm working on, but that helped me out a lot. And also, that was pocket money. Like, I did not have a car at Rutgers. Yes, I lived on campus, but this was a guaranteed set of money that I was going to be making every week, which was very necessary for me because money was tight and money is still kind of tight. So that was what I needed in order to like say, okay, I'm working, I'm doing all this stuff. And granted, my first semester at Rutgers, I was only going to class and doing this work study job. Once I felt confident, and that was the first semester, I think I got a 4.0. Once I felt confident in that, I was like, all right, let's add some extracurriculars to my belt. And slowly I would start adding things because you have to understand what's on your plate and be okay with it before you just keep grabbing whatever's shiny and new next. But yeah, it definitely taught me a lot.
Interesting. Slightly off topic, but long story, but I worked with and helped and we kind of brainstormed with a couple of relatively recent Rutgers grads who started a company called PEDAL, PDUL, to help students financially. And
Oh, I wish I had that.
yeah, and names Chisa Egbaloo and Kayla Jackson. And the company is alive and well. They graduated Rutgers. The company is thriving. They help students with financial aid, and I'm giving them a plug because I love them. You know, they call me Uncle Cal. It's been a great relationship. But anyway, moving along. Your summa cum laude, your 4.0s, that's a hard journey. I mean, to graduate summa cum, that's a hard journey. Any tips? Any you were so possessed to do this, and you did.
Oh yeah, that was like, I told myself after that first semester of college, when I felt confident in my abilities to like make it in college, I said to myself, all right, I'm going to get summa cum laude. Like, and also I wanted to make my parents proud. I'm very much the type of person who wants to make my parents proud with everything. So I will make sure I get it done no matter what. But even though college academics is only part of it, you want to have that experience of hanging out with your friends, like going out to parties here and there, just having your internships, being a part of extracurriculars. That's the full college experience. So with that in mind, I really had to get good at developing a concrete schedule to the point, and I'm very happy that I did this in college because it's helping me out now, where I would have an agenda, like an actual planner that I'd write in every day. And then I had my calendar on my phone. I had a calendar on my laptop, and I had everything planned out. My days from, well, my earliest class was 10. I'm not an early bird, so 10 was the earliest. But I would know what my day was from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. because extracurriculars in college, it's not during the day. It's all at night. And with that in mind, I'd be like, okay, when are these gaps? When can I study? When can I do this assignment? X, Y, Z, and plugging it all together. Because granted, if you want to have all these things, a social life, be great with academics, X, Y, Z, you have to plan out your time. And I was able to make it work somehow. Was I really frustrated and overwhelmed at times? Yes, but you have to get through those hurdles. And yeah, also going to the library and hanging out with my friends while also studying, you're killing two birds with one stone.
Right. That's so wise. Wow, that's so wise. Kind of winding down, and I know I did have some notes on your television work, but you kind of went over that and the work you do and the storyboarding and all that. You've done that. So I think the last thing that is always high on my list when I'm talking to Gen Z is defining. How would you think your Gen Z differs from other generations? And the perspective is your Gen Z, right smack in the middle of it.
Yeah. So I, for the longest time, claimed that I was a millennial. I would not, I was like, I'm on the cusp. when millennials were like, Tina, you're not a millennial, I'd say, okay, I'm on the cusp of millennial and Gen Z. After this past year, I've come to the conclusion that I am Gen Z, which took me some time because I call us the Tide Pod generation because of that random stint that happened a couple years ago. But I say that I'm probably the oldest, my year, if not the second oldest of Gen Z. When it comes to Gen Z, I feel like we were taken as a joke for a very long time, but our generation are the ones who are really implementing the things that people have been complaining about. And this is no shade at older generations at all, because we wouldn't know what needs to get done if it wasn't for what you guys have told us and everything. And especially millennials were the ones who said that we need to do this, we need to save the environment, we need to have equal rights for all. Millennials were the ones to say these things, right? And I'd say that Gen Z are the ones who are really implementing it. Going back to that panel that we were talking about earlier, like, what's that little girl's name? I forget what her name is, but she's like 12 or something.
Greta Thunberg?
Yes, the face of climate change. That she is Gen Z. We are the ones who are going out there and we're doing these protests. We're the ones not just on social media, because a lot of times I feel older generations will just say, oh, they're just hiding behind their screens. All they're doing is tweeting. Yes, we are tweeting. We are tweeting so that way more people know what's going on. But then just as much as we're tweeting, you're seeing people out there marching and making sure that those who aren't on Twitter also hear what we're talking about and know that change is coming. So in terms of how Gen Z differs and relates to other generations, we're all trying to fight for the same thing. It's just that we are a very impatient generation we're not going to stop until we get the answers and the results that we want.
And we've seen that. We talked about that. The role of Gen Z and one of the great social change movements with George Floyd. You're right in the middle of all that, and you're marching, and you're screaming for social change, and it's you guys. So hey, I do what I do because I so look up to your generation, because you are the future, and I admire that, and that's why I do what I do. That's why I taught at Rutgers for a semester, because I wanted to be in the trenches and I wanted to feel and understand you guys better, which helped me understand you guys better. It was one of the great experiences of my life, having taught at Rutgers a couple of years ago. But we're at the end of this segment, and Tina with an H, I cannot thank you enough. I hope your message and you get out to so many people, what you can teach and how you can inspire and motivate. It's there for the taking. We got to get it out there. You have a great message. I've invited you back. You can come back to this channel anytime, in any shape, way, or form. You can materialize, dematerialize, show up. I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm
I
here for
appreciate
you.
it.
And I truly thank you so much, Tina. So we're going to sign off. I do want to remind everybody again, this is a wonderful podcast, and it's good for everybody right up until I think they're at least 80.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also the guests that we have on the show, just because it's called In Your 20s, we have people from their 30s all the way to, I think they're like 50s or 60s, that have been guests on the show. And it's like the insights and the advice that all of these people from different walks of life present. I think I say shooketh at least once every episode, because my mind is blown.
That's great. So have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
And to be continued. Thank you, Tina.